Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, and NBDarkables, back to the Dookie Zone, and welcome into the Dookie Zone. My name is Woofy, and I humbly invite you to what I would like to call a quick little chat. Today, with the one and only Kanic Socials. Hello there.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure having you. Today, we're just gonna interview some of the wonderful beings that makes the creative content that you all know and love. And I started out with Kanic as we have been hitting it off quite well since we started chatting. So, first of all, for those of you who don't know Kanic, go on, introduce yourself. What do you do and who are you?
Hello, everybody. Well, my name is Kanic. Sometimes the handles have a shep after that, but primarily when it comes to content creation, I lean more towards Twitch streaming, but I also dabble in a little bit in TikTok, and slowly but surely going into the YouTube market.
Oh, that's great to hear. As a YouTuber myself, I do enjoy hearing other people want to join in on that little party, because it requires a lot more effort than people believe.
I believe that.
Just like that the tier list I still haven't made, despite recording it like half a month ago, but let's not talk about that. But yeah, you're a content creator. So on Twitch, what is it that you like to cover on your Twitch channel?
Well, like the most Twitch streamers, it's mainly the gaming side of streaming. I've dabbled one or two times into VR chat. I know VR chat's still technically a game, but I consider that more of like a social sort of extension of the just chatting category.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, gaming wise, I lean more on probably my favorite type of game or genre, I should say, is the survival games. Survival in general, zombie survival, stuff of that effect. I just like the challenge of being placed in a very bad situation and trying to figure it out.
Well, I do know that you know how to cook, so you will definitely survive the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Have you tried the 7 Days to Die then?
Yes. I definitely don't have as many hours in 7 days as I do, for example, Project Zomboid, my go-to zombie survival game. But with 1.0 7 days just coming out, I believe a couple weeks ago now, I have given that a little more time. Yeah. So 7 days definitely hits different to me when it comes to the survival or zombie survivals, when it comes to, or I should say comparative to, for example, Zomboid.
What was it that actually got you into this survival genre of games?
What got me into it? Honestly, I think it was about 10 years. Yeah, 10 years ago now. There was a game that I haven't touched in a bit, but it was probably one of my first survival games that really kind of pushed me into that feeling of if you don't do this right, the game is over and the next day could be absolute terrible. It goes by the name of This War of Mine.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot about that. It's a very old game, and it had a very interesting style with like old style writing on the maps and stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I always liked how they advertised it as it's slotted as a war game in a way, but survival. And I like that they kind of explored an aspect of war that most games don't really touch on, because most war games usually, you're the semi-professional soldier, on the front line, to where This War of Mine, you're the embroiled civilians that are trapped within the war zone, having to deal with everyday life yet.
That's incredible. I'm happy that you had like really positive first impression of the genre. But I also know that aside from that, I've seen you play some of the big public games nowadays, like for an example, Helldivers 2. And I just wanted to know what draws you into games like that.
I should say games like that. So Helldivers 2 being obviously a third-person shooter with some first-person aspects. The thing that drew me into Helldivers was the fact that after seeing some friends play it a good bit, I like the fact that they do what would be the term a live service, quote unquote, very well. I like this PvE style choice they made, and with no plans for PvP, that it brought like a community together to just beat the bad guys without having this competitive nature amongst one another, and just the teamwork and communication that can be like with like what I like to refer to as like my A team. If I get the other three like them into a session of Helldivers, even the highest difficulty sometimes feel like nothing. It's that sort of like accomplishment, beating insurmountable odds and then getting out successfully. It's so satisfying to me in that sense.
That's incredible. I can definitely relate to that feeling because the co-op PvE gaming genre is very limited nowadays. So I guess that Helldivers really came about when it was needed the most.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the market saturated with PvP and that sort of thing, especially when it comes to shooters. It was truly a breath of fresh air when Helldivers 2 came out, in my opinion.
Well, thank you for that answer. So, aside from gaming, what kind of other ventures do you dabble into in your spare time?
I do enjoy the emergency prepper, or kind of goes along with my love of survival games in a way. I like that whole, not necessarily doomsday prepping, but just if a very unfortunate situation happens to be where I live, whether it's natural disaster or something to that effect, I like exploring and having the means to comfortably get by, or at least as comfortably as possible, without having to worry about the crowds rushing to the grocery stores or not having power for certain devices, and just having that peace of mind and that adaptability, knowing that I have the means to still get by without having to, more or less being in a human competition of like personal struggle there. That's what really is a lot of fun to me, and just seeing different aspects of how people go about it too is always a fun thing for me to research, watch YouTube videos on, or just bounce ideas off with other preppers.
So in other words, you were one of the people who hoarded the toilet paper during COVID.
I didn't hoard it, but that pandemic did teach me to always have some on hand in a non-obvious place, but knowing in the back of my head that is there too. I do have emergency TP essentially.
That's good, because you never know when you'll run out. I have had a situation where everybody in my household, myself included, were all sick. None of us could leave the house and we ran out of toilet paper. Trust me, it was desperate times. And I
can believe that.
And I was like, okay, maybe we should go visit somebody so we could use their bathroom because they'll have toilet paper. Oh wait, we're sick, so we can't even do that. So at the end of the day, we got toilet paper ordered, like takeout, from like a service that goes out and buys groceries for us. So that's the only way we managed to get toilet paper during the pandemic at one point. So I can definitely relate to like prepping, but we're very greedy when it comes to like saving money around here. So it's like we would never buy more than like 2 packs of TP, even if it was like desperately needed for more.
Two funny stories with that aspect too, when it regards to the TP in the pandemic. Back to Zomboid a little bit, because of what happened during the pandemic, they're in every playthrough of whoever plays Zomboid, on the map, and the map's very huge, there is one house where every container will be nothing but toilet paper, and that was the game dev's little joke of, haha, we remember the pandemic. Yeah.
Well, we certainly remember it too, with horrible memories of being inside and couldn't hang out with your friends. But it did open up the
Yeah,
opportunity
ugh.
for people to like go here on the VR chat and meet up with people, which actually became like a full thing with like virality and stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about those times in a way, especially in regards to, like you said, with VR chat, because as as members of the furry community, it's a very social. I'd say generally outgoing community, and when you take the fur cons away, you take the meetups away. In a weird way, as dark as it is to sound, VR chat benefited from the pandemic, and the furry fandom, in my opinion, did too.
Yeah, absolutely. We have had so many new things popping up because of the pandemic. I mean, we can even look at something like Animal Crossing. That sold incredibly well when New Horizons came out.
Yeah, that's true. Among Us is another very pandemic connected rise. It's interesting because apparently that game was out since like 2017 or 18, and it kind of went up and fell away, and then somebody decided to pick it up again, and then it just, well, the rest is history there.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if I had to be a little bit on the inquiries here. Have you ever had an opportunity to try out a game before others and weren't really satisfied with the product you received?
Try out a game before others? I don't think I ever have. I like the ideas of Kickstarters and whatnot, but I was never given like access codes or anything like that to play a game early. So no, I don't have any experience with that.
Okay, you're lucky in that regard. I've tried that way too many times for me to count anymore. With things like Dawngate, which was like a really good MOBA made by, now I have to think real hard. I think it was BioWare or EA. I'm not really sure which of them it was, but it was a really good MOBA that got shut down before it even released. I've had Paragon. Paragon never came out of open beta before it got shut down by Epic Games, and I got a really early invite for that game. I've also tried it with...
I did have a
few more.
A couple friends of mine, it's when you mentioned Paragon, they were quite disappointed when that was getting shut down, because when that came to be, that's all I saw them playing. Whether they were hanging out in Discord together or not, that's all they were playing was Paragon.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, nowadays, we do have a revival project called Predecessor, and it's doing incredibly well. It just had its full release, and everybody can play it for free, and it's pretty much a very truthful reimagining of the same product. So maybe you should contact your friends about that and say, hey, by the way, you can play Paragon again, buddies.
Oh, they're aware of Predecessor, that's for sure. I've seen them play that plenty.
Okay, fair enough. So, before this whole like streaming thing came about, what kind of inspired you to try and do that?
I definitely say I'm among the people that started amidst the pandemic. I've been streaming for 3 years now. The thing is, though, I've had a desire to stream even way before that. My Twitch account is actually quite old. It's actually so old it dates back to the Justin.tv days before it was Twitch.tv.
Me too. I relate.
I watched a lot of streams in this essentially 10-year time period that I've been on Twitch, and it was more or less just I was held back a bit by the my machine at the time, because it wasn't up to the games I wanted to play, at least at the time, and also my internet connection, it was not also up to even par of the upload and various speeds and such that I would need to do streaming. But when I did get my newest PC, I should say, 3 years ago, right before I started streaming, and then eventually I just got that, desire, and of just like, you know what, I can do this. Like, I can just seeing my friends, other furry friends that were streaming before me, and just how much fun they were having and everything is that, and it was really just that's what really inspired me, was seeing that and just believing that I could be someone fun to watch and someone that people would come back to stream after stream. And it just it's paid off. That's really what inspired me, was just finally getting or seeing my friends and other streamers do this, and just more or less believing in myself and just hitting go live for the first time, and here we are.
Well, that is definitely a bit of a success story, if you ask me, as a person who has been going live for 9 years and have, we are of different sizes, and that's also fair. People grow at different rates, and I'm trying to make some interesting content to try and appeal to a different audience. And I think what I want to ask is, what do you think was your secret to the amount of growth you received in 3 years?
I think the amount, how I would measure that would probably be, well, I think a few things. There's definitely not one thing that I could nail down consistently. One, I could say, I do think, I know sometimes I'm coming back to Zomboid a lot, but the survival gaming and Zomboid blowing up, especially late 2021 when they had a big build, as they refer to them as, release.
Yeah.
It was a very, watched, eyeballed game on Twitch, despite how long Zomboid's been out. I also kind of attribute my approachability. I never want to be that sort of streamer that, walks high and mighty or sees themselves as that sort of thing. Like, I try to keep myself as humble as possible. And I think that's what kind of drew people to me and let me grow to where I have at this point.
Well, I've also been watching a bunch of your streams, and you also have a really nice community and a good atmosphere. So it makes sense that just being yourself and being, approachable can really do a difference. So with that said, it's like, it feels to me a lot, and that's just from my point of view, is that a lot of the times it's about that one breakthrough because of the social circumstances in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that that voice acting is not anything new. There's a lot of voice actors out there. And that's why I think, like, sometimes a voice actor just need that one breakthrough to actually become a household name that people remember, right?
Yeah, that's something I've lightly dabbled in before. I've not taken on too many, how would I put it? I don't want to say contracts, but just kind of like accepted works. But the one time I have, has been pretty fun.
Yeah, okay, so you have actually tried being quote-unquote hired for a voice acting job?
Yeah, it was within the fandom, and it was a small role, but a fun role. I won't go into details, but it was for a spicy role, as people would refer to it as.
I see. Well, let's just say I have dabbled in the same, but sadly not YouTube friendly at all. But you all know what it is if we say spicy, so let's not dabble more into that. But still, cool to hear that you actually got a voice acting role for something like that.
Oh yeah, it was fun to do.
Well, if you have any questions about voice acting, what would your most burning question be from an aspiring voice actor to another?
If I had questions I would say it would be how to put oneself out there, how to kind of start doing the reach, and what sort of like roles are truly like the best for someone to really have an upstart.
Well, most of the time, as a voice actor, the best options you can have is contact companies of any kind. We can talk about animation studios, we can talk about YouTube channels that does animations. We can go into game development studios that needs voice actors. Most of the times it's the indie studios that would really like to get some help on that. And I think one of the big breakthroughs that has happened to a lot of voice actors have been getting one role that is widely popular. A really good example, if I had to put one in, would be, for an example, Alex Lee. He is voicing Jinwoo in Solo Leveling. That was a huge breakthrough for him getting that role.
Okay.
And he was really struggling to get like into voice acting. And if you want to know the whole story, you can check out Trash Taste video where they interview him. Just go and check that out. It will be in the description, I promise. This time I won't forget it.
Yeah, I'll have a look at that.
He is an incredibly talented man, and I think that he's a good inspiration for voice actors to know what really is needed to break through.
Yeah, heck yeah.
But I think that is all the questions I actually have for you now. So if you want to do any shout out of anyone or yourself, please by any means do so.
So my Twitch channel is probably the easiest. It's just twitch.tv/Kanic. So Kanic without the Shep. The TikTok is Kanic G Shep. And YouTube, I believe, is also Kanic. If you want to give me, anybody out there, a follows on my socials, it's Kanic Shep on Twitter and Blue Sky. That's where I post my alerts, other than Discord, of course. But yeah, that is me. That is what I do, at least in the content creation scene, and well, like the survival preppy stuff thing I do.
Well, I hope that you will keep being prepped for whatever comes your way, Kanic. Thank you so much for stopping by here for a little chat. And I hope you'll have a continuously good day. This was everything we had here in the Doogie Zone. This was supposed to be an episode of the Zone's Outpost podcast, but we found a different solution, and therefore a whole new format has been born. See you next time!